Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. Great to have Chip Holcombe here. It's an honor. I've known Chip for some time. Unfortunately, probably for him, good for me. But it's, again, awesome to have here. He's going to bring some insight. Again, I'm in a lot of these meetings. I get out there, and I think it's nice to where we can share this information for all of us because we're all in this boat together, as I keep saying. And so we asked Chip to come here and give us some great intel and information for all of us to learn today and to go forward. So, Chip,
well,
thanks
you for having me. Great to see everybody. My title is Managing Director of Investor Relations. Pretty fancy. I'm the fundraiser. So believe me, I love having a captive audience because normally when I walk into a room of business people and business leaders and so forth, it takes like a minute and people start talking. They're like, oh my gosh, there's Chip. I repeat, do not make eye contact with him. He'll come over, he'll start talking about 2020. Next thing you know, you're like 5,000. So this is actually my second event this morning. I made a presentation to 35 tax accountants at Ernst & Young. When I was finished, I woke myself up, made the quick drive over, and happy to be here. So
Awesome. I'm glad you're awake. Here we go. So what started off, Chip, I think a big question amongst all of us is, can you explain the difference between 2020, Jobs Ohio, the Columbus Partnership, and the Chamber?
That's a great place to start. We're organized maybe a little differently than other communities that sort of look like us in Nashville and Austin, Indianapolis, Louisville, Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, those are all our competitors. So the Columbus way is one that in 2010, the decision was made, we really want to get serious about economic development. And I'll just throw some numbers out. The 90s were pretty good here. We created 138,000 net new jobs. From 2000 to 2010, we were on track for about that. Then the recession hit in 07, 08, 09, and for some it stayed at 10 and 11. Oh, my goodness. Just throw out an answer. How many jobs do you think our 11-county region created from 2000 to 2010? 3,000. Oh, that's a wake-up call. So that is why we launched Columbus 2020 in 2010. So our strategy is 9 years old. We're still relatively young. But here are our partners. So you've got the Columbus Partnership, where if we were talking about the Columbus Partnership 20 years ago, there was about 12 members. Celeste Wexner, the late John Wolfe, the Nationwide CEO, Worthington Industries CEO, and they really provided that leadership and guidance. How are we going to evolve as a community? Today, there are 75 company CEOs that are providing that leadership. If you think about the Scioto Mile River Project, that's Columbus Partnership. Save the Crew, Columbus Partnership. Public city schools, K through 12 education, economic development, they're dealing with those issues that really transcend the region. So for a community our size, we've got a huge CEO leadership group pointing us in the right direction. Columbus 2020, we are implementers of the partnership's economic development strategy. So we've got a team of 22 people, and we wake up every single morning with one goal, and that is to create opportunity for our residents here in Central Ohio. Not so different than Dawson's mission. Matt and I have been together for a while. We're great partners. You guys have been awesome with us, but we really do share that conviction. How can we make life better for the residents in this market? So we do lots of things, 3 big buckets. We spend about $1 million a year marketing, promoting, extolling the virtues of the Columbus region as a preferred business location in the Midwest. I'll give you 10 reasons why we're better in Indianapolis, Detroit, Cincy, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. We're all about the Columbus region. 2 is we're calling on companies that are already here. We call on probably 200 existing businesses to find out what's happening with you guys, what challenges do you have. Typically, it's workforce, so because we've got to play a lot of defense. We don't want these companies to leave. We want to have them stay here and continue to grow. And third, we're planes, trains, and automobiles almost every week. Our team of 8 project managers are all over the country, all over the world, talking to the best companies and trying to convince them locate here. So the Columbus Chambers had a couple of resets in the last 8 or 9 years. Don DePiro has brought a lot of energy to the Columbus Chamber, and we view them as a very important partner and being the champion for small and medium-sized businesses. Very, very critical that they've got a great champion and advocate, keep taxes low, lots of events, lots of discounts. So we really rely on the chamber to, continue stirring that small business enterprise. Very, very important. And the fourth organization is up the street is Rev 1 Ventures. Used to be called Tech Columbus back in the day. And they are incubating, accelerating, and funding the most promising startups in our region. And oh, by the way, we're scaling more tech startups than any other city in the Midwest, including Chicago. So you've probably read some stuff. So lots of cool things happening.
Awesome. Great explanation. I think that helps us out, and thank you. Question. You recently shared data from the U.S. Census Bureau that Columbus has the fastest private sector job growth in the Midwest. I believe 17th, correct?
Yep.
Where's all the growth coming from?
Well, I can tell you, as I look back in the last 9 years, our team has worked on 575 corporate expansions projects. So, and there are 232 companies that are operating in this market that weren't here in 2010. So we've recruited them. So that's where it's coming from. So if you take a look at job growth, probably 70% are going to of the new job growth are going to come from companies that are already here. What gets the headlines is when BrewDog comes into town, or Amazon or Google. I mean, that's really exciting because that validates we got a great place, and now Google thinks we're a great place. So that's cool. So we always, your best prospect is your current customer. So, we abide by that as well. So it's really coming from organizations and industries that are already here. Financial services is certainly growing, insurance, manufacturing, logistics. If you haven't been down to Rickenbacker, pack a lunch, you'll spend a lot of time there looking. It's 1 million square foot building after another. It's absolutely amazing. So we're fortunate we've got good, consistent, broad growth in our region. In terms of the top industries that we see, I'll refer to some of my notes that our research professionals provided. Professional and business services, lots of job growth there. Healthcare, restaurants, logistics, and of course, construction trades. An interesting factoid, the new Facebook data center out in New Albany, that's going to keep 1,400 construction people busy for 2 years. Yeah. And then they go and they start working on the Google one. So, and if you take a look, we've created about 160,000 net new jobs in 8 years. About 50,000 of those we can point to as coming from Columbus 2020 assisted projects. So not all the jobs, but maybe a third of those we've had an influence. And I know it's great that we have IKEA here. And people say, hey, Chip, thanks for recruiting IKEA. We didn't. We love retailers, but it's the headquarters we want, not the storefront. So it's manufacturing, it's logistics, it's headquarters, it's back office. It's those types of companies that export goods or services and import money. That's who we want. And then they drive additional job creation in healthcare and all the other industries.
So why are they choosing Columbus? You got all those other great cities.
Oh, yeah, oh, believe me.
A lot of competition, so why are they choosing?
Yep. I'll answer it this way. There's lots of criteria, and believe me, we do spreadsheets against all of our competitors on taxes and regulations and incentives and this, that, and the other thing, but it really comes down to location. It could be a company based in Phoenix. They got a lot of customers in the Midwest. I got to put something in the Midwest, a customer contact center, a distribution center, R&D, a sales, something. So it's about location. It's about talent. That's a critical one. And third, it's also the cost of doing business. So, by the way, we play pretty well. We have cards to play in each of those. We got a great location. We've got talent, although we need more of it. And we are a very affordable place to do business if you're going to compare us to Philly or D.C. or a lot of those places. So the ideal prospect for us would be companies that, need a combination of those. 10 years ago, we're really talking about land and buildings and utilities and incentives. And right now, do you have the talent for us to come into your market and be successful and profitable? So talent absolutely has effervesced up to be probably in 90%. That's the first topic of conversation. So when we were talking with Amazon, and be careful for what you wish for, by the way, but we actually, by being on the top 20 list, there's 5 or 10 other companies that would never have talked to us that are talking to us because we ended up on that final list, which is really, really cool. So when we talked with Amazon, and oh, by the way, we're dealing with hundreds of companies all the time, going through the same process that Amazon is. They just did theirs publicly and made their life a lot harder than it needed to be. So, but that's sort of the process, but a lot of that just sort of happens sort of behind the scenes. But when we talked with Amazon, they weren't talking incentives or taxes. They were talking about capacity. Do you have the housing to support a lot more workers? What kind of current talent do you have? What's your talent flow from the universities? How are people going to get to and from work? So it's mobility, it's infrastructure, it's housing, and it's talent. 9 years ago, we have to be concerned with that? Really? Yeah, today we do.
So with that, what is your opinion? What are you guys saying? Do we have the talent? Do we have the workforce to support the growth?
Well, I think the short answer is no. That's the right answer, too. And I'll share some numbers, and sometimes it's hard to kind of make sense of it. But our job growth has been 20% for the last 8 years, number one in the Midwest. Our population growth, also number one in the Midwest, is 9%. That's the problem. We need more people coming to the Columbus region because we've created so many jobs. Now we're at a point where we've got a 10-point difference, if you will, in terms of available labor. So if you take a look at Ohio, and I love Ohio, but it's like a no-growth state. Some people look at us and say it's the old Rust Belt. We're trying to reposition it as the Trust Belt for lots of reasons. 95% of all the population growth in the state of Ohio is in our 11-county Central Ohio area. It's over 90% of the total state's population growth is right here in our market. Now, we root for Cleveland and Cincinnati and Dayton and Toledo. We love them. If it's good for Ohio, it'll all be good for us. But people don't move north. They move south, and they move west. So what are we concerned about? Keeping everybody possible. Do you know the graduate retention rate at Ohio State is now 40%, 2 years after they graduate? We're keeping 40% of those students. And the numbers are going up at Denison and Kenyon and Ohio Wesleyan and some of those schools, and we've been working with our educational partners. So the difference between us and Austin, I hate that, by the way. They've got a really good economic development. You know what they do all day? They drink coffee, and they answer the phone. They take orders. Yeah, come on in. What do? We get on a plane and go talk to people about coming here. So most of you are too young to remember the old Avis commercial. Avis rental card versus Hertz. We're Avis. We're number 2. We try harder. We're Avis. We got to work that much harder than Austin and Raleigh and a lot of those communities. Let me just, I'll kind of go back and talk about 3 or 4 different examples as to why a particular company moved here. Yeah. Zulily. How many people know Zulily? Oh, excellent. I had never heard of them before, but I don't buy kids' clothes on the internet, So our research department 5 years ago said, look, here are the top 10 fastest e-commerce companies on the West Coast. And we went to Matt McQuaid. Here's an airline ticket. Go talk to him. So he visited with the folks at Zulily, based in Seattle, and said, look, you may not be ready yet, but we got our eye on you. You're growing really fast. But in order for you to service the East Coast, all your customers on the East Coast, you're going to need a place. And here are 10 reasons why you ought to think about Columbus. And it might be 12 months, 18 months down the road. Well, they called us back after 5 months and said, you're right. So they came to Columbus, put up a facility in Rickenbacker, 300 employees, love the market so much. They have a customer contact center, an operations center in Gahanna. They have 1,500 employees in our market. We have more of their employees than Seattle does. It's awesome. Another example would be Amazon Web Services, Facebook, Google, all their cloud computing. Not a lot of jobs, but huge, billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of investment. Why do they come here? We are probably the safest region in the country from a weather standpoint, seismologically. We just don't have the problems even a Charlotte might have with hurricanes and the aftermath and so forth. We also have low energy costs. We have redundant power, redundant fiber. We can expect a lot more coming in that particular sector of cloud computing, and that's going to really be important. We're being recognized as a cloud computing center in the United States. That's a big deal. Just a couple others. Sofidel. How many of you have heard of Sofidel? They're an Italian company. The backstory there, Kenny McDonald, our CEO, and we're in Italy and Germany. We're going there in 2 weeks, but he went there a couple of years ago and was sitting with the CEO. And the CEO and Kenny called me afterwards and said it was the worst sales call he's ever been on in 15 years. The CEO's like, no, didn't believe a thing he was talking about the Columbus area. Well, nonetheless, we ended up landing that project in Circleville. They make toilet tissue. So why did they come to Circleville of all places? Well, we had 400 acres. We have low-cost power. And if you're a paper manufacturer, you need a lot of water. Well, they have a deep water aquifer in Pickaway County. They have unlimited clean water for their use every day. So it was an aquifer that got the deal. Who'd have thought? Holy cow. L Brands, and more specifically Bath & Body Works. If you go to New Albany, they've got the International Beauty Park. Every single one of those companies, they're going to make the lotion, the bottle, the cap, the label. It's all together there to support Bath & Body Works. Well, it was about 9 years ago. Les Wexner was like, well, hold it. If you're going to be our supplier, oh, by the way, you're going to put your building right here. And so are you. And so, I own it. But you're going to put it right there. And that's a key thing, is leveraging your big companies to bring the supply chain closer to your customers. So that's just another angle. BrewDog, this is the last one, BrewDog. Many of you might remember Stone Brewing. Before that, we lost that deal. We came in second. Again, it was publicized. As an economic developer, you're going, oh, my. We never want to come in second when the whole world knows about it. Holy camole. Well, we lost it to Richmond, and here's why we lost it. They gave $3 million more than we would. So it was a financial deal. But they loved the way they were treated. They loved this Central Ohio community and the way we rallied. And they were buddies with the BrewDog guys in Ireland. And Ireland and the BrewDog guys, hey, we're going to come to the United States. And the Stone Brewing guys said, oh, we'll save you a whole lot of time. Just go to Columbus. And they did. How about that? So
that's good stuff. Love to hear that stuff. All right, so you got all this great stories. Obviously, we see the demand, right? What about wages?
They're going up, as you know.
Okay.
Just some statistics. When we started this process, this mission, this journey of ours in 2010, our per capita income was $38,000. Today, it's $49,700. That's a good thing. We're moving in the right direction, creates additional wealth. Certainly with the scarcity, that's going to continue to drive up wages. For some businesses, that's a real problem. For others, they have to adapt. We're just not going to go backwards from a wage standpoint. It's about creating value, efficiencies. We've got our workforce is 1.1, maybe 1.2 million in this region. I can tell you there's 200,000 jobs at risk right now over the next 5 years because of machine learning and artificial intelligence. That keeps us up at night. So how is JP Morgan Chase and Huntington and Nationwide, how are they reacting to all that? And you guys are going to be a solution for a lot of pain points for your existing customers and more to come. But wages certainly are going to continue to rise.
Okay. Is there a particular industry where there is significant growth?
Well, we have a balanced economy, which is really cool. So distribution, E-commerce, logistics, that will continue to grow. Manufacturing is going to continue to grow, financial services, and then those industries that support it, healthcare, restaurants, back office operations. So I guess maybe the easiest way to sort of describe what we're seeing is we look at our pipeline. What's in the pipeline? We've got 140 prospects that we are working with right now. Half would be new to the market. Half are foreign owned, which is kind of interesting. 40% manufacturing, 30% office, headquarter, back office, 20% logistics, and the rest would be like data centers and R&D centers and so forth. So pretty balanced. We live in Ohio. We still make stuff here. So, we're going to make a big place for manufacturing firms. And there's a lot of international firms in manufacturing that are really considering the Midwest pretty significantly.
So it's almost, I know it's 2019, but almost 2020. What are you guys most proud of that Columbus 2020 has executed? And what is next for your group? And also, since you launched in 2010, what has been your biggest surprise?
Well, we had three big goals: 150,000 net new jobs, $8 billion in capital investment, increase per capita income by 30%. We reached and exceeded all those last year, so 2 years early. So, and I was there in the beginning. I was part of the architectural team that built this, and of course, we had to bring in a consultant, and they said, "Oh, well, you guys ought to do 150,000 net new jobs if you want to reach your goal as being a top 10 market in the middle tier." And we were like, "Oh my gosh, how are we going to do that?" We look back on it now. Hey, what's the big deal? But back then, it was like, is that a stretch goal? Right out of the. So we're really proud of that. The other thing is we've built a great team. Kenny McDonald's given great leadership to our team. We've got 22 folks. We were ranked the #1 economic development organization in the country last year. So that was really cool. Yeah. And we've been able to keep the team together. In our business of economic development, people move a lot. It's really hard to keep the team together. We've had maybe 2 or 3 people in 8 years move on to even better. Strayer went down to Dallas-Fort Worth, and it was like a double jump. And the reason he sort of got that double jump is he came from Columbus 2020. So that was great. So we've been able to sort of keep the team together. What has been really surprising is one of our sub-goals was, wouldn't it be great if we had $100 million of venture capital resident here in Central Ohio by the end of the decade? Well, with Drive Capital and NCT and Draper Triangle, we have $600 million of venture capital. So that goal, we've just gone way by it. And the success that Rev 1 Ventures is having and the stuff that's coming out of OSU and Battelle and Nationwide Children's Hospital, we are now recognized as one of the leading areas for gene therapy. And it's incredible. There's 5 companies we're talking to that says, we're sort of in that business. We have to be in Columbus because Nationwide Children's Hospital is here, and they've recruited the world's best gene therapists. So more news, more good headlines coming out of that whole, and you can see they continue to build there. It's just absolutely incredible. So, look, there's lots of really, really good news. Kenny gave us like 5 days off last end of the year, said, okay, rest. Now, here comes the whip. Let's go. We can't be complacent. We're good. We're not great yet. So we've completed 12 months of strategic planning. I've interviewed a lot of the CEOs in terms of, hey, what's next? What's important to you guys? What do you think? We will publicly announce our new 10-year strategy this summer. So I can give you a little bit of a preview. The building blocks will be, number 1, pursue regional growth. This community still wants to grow, by the way. Others around the country are like, hey, let's put the brakes on. Oh, this community still wants to grow. And that's job growth, wage growth, it's the whole 9 yards. 2 would be attract impactful investment. So more venture capital, more corporate investment, more government grants to Ohio State, and commercialize all that stuff. So we just want more investment in our region. 3rd would be realize our innovation capacity. There's a lot of money that goes into Ohio State, like $400, $500, $600 million a year, but very little coming out in terms of commercialization and so forth, and Les Wexner's not happy about it. So, we just need to improve that element of our startup community. Maximizing individual opportunity. There's 80,000 or more folks in our region that are underemployed. that's a group that we can hopefully collectively, all of us, at help. And is it a mobility thing, a childcare thing? Well, you all know all those challenges. Just know that we are an active partner in that, because if we can't solve that, we can't recruit more companies to come here. So workforce and the solutions that you provide are central to the region's success. There's not maybe more an important time for Dawson to be the market leader and to be bringing new stuff to the market than right now, because it's super critical. And the last thing is prepare our communities for success. Our world is 11 counties. Go up to Marion and out to Logan and Union and Madison and Pickaway and all the way around, and 29 cities. So our job is to make sure that we help each community, some are more sophisticated than others, to be the best that they can be, to figure out what their economic development plans are. Do they need to improve their processes? Do they need an industrial park? What do they need? We're working with them to, again, we can bring the prospects in, but if the communities aren't ready to take them and have them and let them grow there, and then we lose them in Indianapolis, and that's not good. So, I welcome any questions that I can.
Yeah, I'd like to open up to everyone for some questions. Chris DeCapua?
Two questions. First one, there was a rumor that Google, Ohio State was going to offer up Landing County, to Amazon. Been out there before.
Yep.
What is the plan for Landing County? It's a huge parcel. It's right by Ohio State.
It is. And they've been talking about it for 10 years. And yes, it was a part of the overall package to Amazon. So was Franklinton. So we had multiple areas. And, Bobby Schottenstein sits on the 2020 board. He's on the OSU board. He's like, we've been talking about this for 10 years. What can we do? Move the cows and the crops, and let's put in an innovation district. I think you're going to see some ground being broken here in the next 12 months, maybe 15 months. So it's been a long gestation period, but I think in the next 24 months we're going to get a little more clarity. There's just a lot of different players that you have to kind of get together. It'd be helpful. Yeah. Right.
Question number, you mentioned Google twice. What's going on with Google?
You mentioned Google twice. What's going on with Google?
We just landed their newest cloud computing data center. It's going to go out in New Albany. It's $650 million, maybe 80 jobs. So again, not a lot of jobs, good paying jobs, but just huge investment. And again, we started talking about why the data centers. Well, we're being known as one of the best places in the country to have data centers. Well, it's all about, and most of the AWS data centers are doing government work. But as we begin to power driverless and autonomous vehicle, a lot of this will be powered through the data centers in Columbus, Ohio. So it's, the whole smart Columbus, the data, it's all sort of fitting together. I hope that answers your question. Yes?
Nancy?
Something Columbus desperately needs, both locally, regionally, nationally, and since you saved the crew, perhaps you could get us a train system. I mean, we need like a MARTA, like in Atlanta for locally. We needed to bring top talent in. We needed for you guys to go visit other cities and to go visit companies. So could if you can do anything in your next decade planning, could you get us some trains?
Well, and that question comes up a lot. Transportation mobility is a big issue. Relative to light rail, that chapter probably has come and gone.
It could come again.
It might come again.
We lost money that we could have had to have.
Right.
That was difficult. But perhaps, the investment capital that you have and the drive, perhaps that's something.
You're not alone. There's a lot of people that really. I spent a year in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and they've got a great rail system and all that. We'll have to kind of. It's very, very expensive proposition at $200 million a mile, or something of that. I mean, it's really, really, really expensive. But let me share a couple of things with you. It's all about innovation. How many of you heard about Chariot? Chariot is a transportation company here, J.P. Morgan Chase, up in Polaris. They got 10,000 people working in that building and 6,000 parking spots. That's a problem. So their goal is to have 1,000 of those workers use Chariot. And basically, it's a really nice airport, shuttle, van, kind of a deal, and it's picking people up and bringing them to work. There's a Rev1 startup company called Share, and it's micro commuting, and they've got a whole series of. So I think a lot of the answers around mobility are going to come from the private sector, some government intervention, but the private sector solutions.
I think we got one more if someone has a question.
So I heard you mention L Brands a couple times. There's also some other pretty big retailers here in Columbus, and with the trending of retail kind of going in the wrong direction with those, how big of a concern is that? And is that something you guys are involved with, talking with some of the other big companies out there, the Expresses, we saw what happened with the
A&F, Express, Ascena, they're all our clients. We're with them all the time. You know, it was the beginning of last year. Normally we do, hey, this is what we're going to do in 2018. Here's our business plan. We were like, we don't know what the heck's going to go on with the tariffs and taxes and trade. And we know that financial services is under a lot of pressure and disruption. So are the retail headquarters, particularly those that have international footprints. So believe me, we don't get a lot of sleep these days because we're in a whole different world, and we've got sectors that are really at risk.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Chip, thank you for all
we
your time.
can't end on a bad note
What do
like
you
that.
want?
I'll
No
just
way.
say it. Whoa,
Hey,
time out.
hey,
We are going to really have a great 2019.
That's right.
Believe me. Holy cow. You know.
No. Hey, listen, you know I'm your number one fan, and I'm the biggest proponent for the city of Columbus and making it better. And I think we're all on together as a team here. You're looking at the Dawson team, and we're here to be a resource and be a partner, which we will continue partner to help out because we want the growth. And we appreciate everything you guys do, and vice versa. So thank you.
Thank you. My final comment is you guys have been with us for literally the beginning of, you guys took that leap of faith, thank goodness. You guys, as a market leader, have a lot to gain. As this market continues to grow and expand, we couldn't ask for a better partner. You know, the answer is always, yeah, we can do that, or we'll find a way to help 2020. And I got to tell you about this guy. Believe me, I know a lot of business development people in this town, from all kinds of different industry sectors. He is one determined bulldog. Oh, my God. He's maybe not a national treasure, but he's really good for Dawson.
All right, I'll pay you for that one. Thank you, guys. Thanks for everything.